Hello ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming back to the channel Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and if you want to see more. Coming up in today's episode, NRL commentator and grand final winner has his say on Gold Coast Titans star. Anthony Milford is back in line for an NRL return. Latreel on the sidelines, which could mean he misses Origin opener. And Warriors winger in the dock for alleged homophobic slurs. So we begin with the New Zealand Warriors winger Marcelo Montoya, as he has caught the ire of the NRL, North Queensland Cowboys, and anyone in earshot of the comments that were apparently told during an NRL game against North Queensland Cowboys for the New Zealand Warriors. Since then, the North Queensland Cowboys have said that there is no place for hurtful or divisive language in our game after Marcelo Montoya is accused of using a homophobic slur. Montoya, though, has apologised for the comment, which were directed at Cowboys winger Felt in the match between the sides on Friday. The NRL said the comment was picked up by in-game audio and Montoya was referred to its judiciary. According to the NRL.com website, the Warriors have already entered an early guilty plea to the contrary conduct charge. Montoya directed the slur at the winger, with his own club CEO issuing an apology on Sunday once the charge sheet was released. Both Marcelo and the club are extremely apologetic for the offence that this has caused. It was unacceptable, said New Zealand Warriors CEO Cameron George. Marcelo accepts responsibility and knows there is no place for such behaviour in both the game and in general society. On the incident, North Queensland Cowboys CEO Jeff Ribble issued the following statement this morning. We were extremely disappointed to learn a homophobic slur was used by an opposing player during our match against the Warriors on Friday night. There is absolutely no place for hurtful or divisive language in our game. As a member of Pride in Sport Australia, Cowboys are committed to being the club who promotes diversity and inclusion for all. Montoya moved to the New Zealand Warriors in 2021 for the 2021 season to the New Zealand Warriors from Canterbury Bulldogs after playing 54 games for the Canterbury club, scoring 19 tries. He has been in some sort of controversy before, back in 2018, but it's not a pattern, to be honest. In September 2018, Montoya and other Canterbury players celebrated Mad Monday at the Harbourview Hotel in Sydney's CBD. Later in the night, photographs provided by media showed Canterbury players heavily intoxicated, stripping naked and vomiting in the street, with Montoya pictured asleep on the street by photographers after vomiting earlier. Montoya was handed a $10,000 fine, with $5,000 suspended by the club for his involvement. So that is just the trappings of being a public figure in Australia. He's going to be involved in. He's going to be picked up as soon as the sports paps see him. This incident, though, is a completely different level. Rugby league is all about inclusion. We want our fans to feel safe, secure, and know that they are part of the family. Hopefully, it's just a one-off, heat of the moment sort of circumstance, and Marcelo will take his lumps when he needs to. And there's some bad news for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, as star Latreel Mitchell has been ruled out of action for 2 months with a hamstring tear. Mitchell hobbled off during the Rabbitohs' win over St George Illawarra on Saturday, and it means that he's a doubt for the State of Origin opener for New South Wales on June the 8th. South's physio Eddie Farrer explained, "Unfortunately, Latreel was unable to complete the game. He went down with a hamstring injury, reported feeling a pull or a grab in his hamstring. The MRI scan confirmed what we expected. There was a definite tear and it was located in the tendon rather than the muscle. That means recovery will be a lot slower. At this stage, we expect him to be out for approximately 8 weeks, Farrer said, being here in the middle of the three. Latrell Mitchell was likely to be the starter against Queensland in Game 1. He played all 3 games last year at centre, as New South Wales even won the series 2 games to 1. The former Sydney Roosters man will also be hoping to add to his 4 Australia caps when the World Cup comes along later this year in England. Suspension ruled Mitchell out of the season opener, and he scored 2 tries in the 4 appearances since. After last week's match against Penrith, he had a cortisone injection to relieve swelling in his knee, but limped out of the 24 points to 12 win over the Dragons after just 14 minutes with the hamstring knock. Mitchell was virtually ever present in the 4 seasons with the Roosters from 2016 to 2019, but since moving to the Rabbitohs, the most games he's managed in the season so far is 17. This latest knock will rule him out of South's upcoming games against Canterbury Bulldogs, West Tigers and the Manly Seagulls. Souths have a bye week in week 8, in 8 weeks time should I say, the weekend before the State of Origin opener, so it gives a little bit more time for Latrell Mitchell to recover, but I would suggest due to this injury it's more than likely that he'll be available for game 2. Even though he'll be so desperate to rush back for game 1, it could cause him a little bit more issues than he wants. I'm sure he'll want to help his team, New South Wales, win the State of Origin yet again, but time's not on his side for game 1. And 2, he needs to look after himself a little bit, I think, and get some recovery time so that he can be better next time out. 17 games is not a lot for a season, and he's going to be important for them this year, as he's already proven in his 4 games that he's played. Staying with the Rabbitohs, there's news that Anthony Milford could be set for a return to rugby league after his charges were dropped in his case of occasional assaults occasioning bodily harm. He was charged with 3 counts and 1 count of willful damage after being arrested in the early hours of September the 20th following reports of a disturbance on Marshall Street in Fortitude Valley, which is where Brisbane's nightlife precinct is. The assault charges against the 27-year-old, however, were dropped on Monday after he pled guilty to Brisbane Magistrate Court to 1 charge each of public nuisance and willful damage. As a result, the NRL is expected to give him the green light to Milford's return to the game, with the Newcastle Knights reportedly ready to sign him to a short-term contract and partner him with one-time Queensland teammate Kalen Ponga, according to the Daily Telegraph. Newcastle have reportedly been in regular contact with Milford's agent and are desperate to bolster their squad in the halves to take some pressure off the shoulders of Jake Clifford and Adam Clune. Milford was released by Brisbane Broncos at the end of last season after 6 years with his hometown club and signed a 1-year deal with the Rabbitohs on July the 30th. However, the NRL did not formally register his contract after the 5'8" was arrested less than 2 months later. The league was steadfast in refusing to ratify the deal until at least one of Milford's alleged assault charges was resolved. While the Queenslander has now been cleared, Souths have reportedly gone cold over the postponed deal and will not block a move to the Knights. That is despite coach Jason Demetriou, who worked with Milford as Brisbane assistant coach for 2 seasons between 2017 and 2018, expressing a desire to sign the former Bronco, saying that he wants Anthony to come to South Sydney. In a statement, he said, "Up until the charges were made, he was on his way to South Sydney. At the moment, my main concern is about Anthony's welfare. As a friend, I want him to be able to clear his name. I'm keen to have Anthony here this year, but if it doesn't work out, it's next man up, and we have some talented young kids who could step up and do the job." Milford, who has played 193 NRL games in his career, could return to Queensland next year by reuniting with Wayne Bennett, who coached him for 4 years at the Broncos. The veteran coach will lead the Dolphins in their inaugural NRL campaign next season, and has made it clear he wants the Samoan international with him. His best football is still ahead of him, Bennett told the Daily Telegraph. He went through a contrast from being in a grand final to being at a club that won the wooden spoon. There is more maturity in his game now. There's no doubt Anthony has lost his confidence over the last few years, but I'm confident I can help Milf turn things around. One-time grand final winner Scott Sattler, who is also the Channel 9 commentator for the NRL coverage on that Australian channel, has launched a stinging appraisal of David Fifita's performances so far this season, with the NRL legend urging his coach Justin Holbrook at the Gold Coast Titans to drop the £1.2 million a year gun. Fifita, who is 22-year-old, has become the competition's best paid players, one of the best paid players, when he switched from the Broncos to Gold Coast this year, picking up a 7-figure salary from his new club. However, he has yet to provide evidence that the Titans have spent their money wisely, with his form amongst the hottest debated topics in the NRL so far this season. Fifita did score an outstanding try against the Eels over the weekend, but he could not inspire his side to victory. His limited impact on the games have not gone unnoticed, and the Titans are 2-3 for the season. 3 losses, 2 wins. And Slatslia, who you see here playing for West Tigers at the end of his career in 2004, went on a verbal tirade is the worst way to put it, but he labelled Fifita one of the worst players at the Titans, and says that if his form doesn't turn around, Holbrook should bench him. He said via Fox Sports, David Fifita, although he scored an amazing try on Saturday night, I think he's one of their worst players at the moment, to be quite honest. They need to find more out of him. If they don't get more, I think about putting him on the bench. Besides his try, Fifita finished with 112 metres from 12 carries on Saturday, and Fox pundit Andrew Voss said that the 22-year-old's numbers were underwhelming. The numbers are a bit underwhelming for all of the Titans forwards, Voss said. We put a microscope on David Fifita. You tell me who is excelling in the Titans pack at the moment. They're all hiding behind us putting the microscope on David Fifita. That being said, looking at the game stats on NRL.com, David Fifita was the best forward at least for the Gold Coast Titans. But looking at his equivalent forward on the other side, that would be Junior Paulo, who has had a better game by all accounts out of the two forwards. Looking at the all run meters, kick returns, post contact meters, line breaks, and line assists, we see David Fifita has had 15 runs, running 143 meters with 2 meters on a kick return, 42 post contact meters, 1 line break, and 2 line break assists. So he's better at offloading than Paulo, as you'll see now. But Paulo had 18 runs and 225 meters in all, with 93 kick return meters and 92 post contact meters. What I mean by post contact meters is when you go into the tackle and carry on running. Simple as that. It's just a few of the small bits and pieces, but it comes to a whole when it comes to rugby league players. And your first job is to beat the man that's put in front of you. In David Fifita's place, in David Fifita's position, that's Junior Paulo. Paulo beat him. And that's it for another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide. Also get the word out for Rugby League as well as this channel so that we can improve everything that we do and grow our game. That's the mantra here. Now, I normally go through a comment below on what you think the episode was like, but I'm going to show you a quick statement from Panthers Dragons instead to show you how tough rugby league players are, and it involves their influential man Sam Tomkins. As they have announced, Sam Tomkins underwent scans to determine the extent of his injury after leaving the field injured during the Cap Challenge Cup quarter-finals against St Helens. The scans have shown a small fracture in his fibula. He will be unavailable for an estimated 4 weeks. No matter what your thoughts are of the last year's Man of Steel, you can't say anything other than tough bastard. Apologies for the language, but I have to say it. I don't know if you're tough, but are you rugby league tough? Obviously, I don't mean by walking or playing rugby on a broken leg, but just shows the mentality. They want to win, they want to play, and the pain is second nature. That being said, please take care of yourself, everybody. Please stay safe. I wish you all the best. I'll see you in the next episode.